5 years of content creation on the internet, primarily on YouTube. Actually, 5 years and a few weeks. I'm lazy and busy. Forgive me, alright? But I still wanted to get this done and out of the way. To congratulate 5 years of this hobby and journey I've engaged on. It's been a little over 5 years since I first started engaging in politics on the internet sphere, starting with my first ever response video that was to then known WarCorp666 on hashtag defund Planned Parenthood. And boy was it all quite a ride. The wildest and funnest ride of my life. Before that, I started my YouTube account mostly to just comment underneath videos, and when I did first start content creation, it was a low quality battle clip I did with friends and siblings of mine that I was originally intending on turning into a full series, but then we all fell off the bandwagon and I got busy with life throughout a good part of both 2014 and 2015. A re-edit of that clip exists on my channel right now. It wouldn't be until September of 2015 that I'd upload the aforementioned WarCorp's response video. It's not that I disliked him or anything, it's just that I find him not only disagreeable but also frustrating on the issue of abortion. The subject in which this video would solidify to be the staple subject of my channel, set up in the staple format I'd take on, that being edited response videos. My bread and butter. What motivated me to want to embark on such an endeavor was that I've honestly always been somewhat fascinated with politics. When I was a lot younger, I played a lot of real-time strategy games like Command & Conquer, Age of Empires, and Anno 1602 and 1503 AD, and whenever I heard my parents listen to political talk shows like Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity, and others, I guess I felt sort of like what they were talking about was an extension of the games I loved to play a lot of. Later on in my childhood, I'd listen to Mark Levin when he replaced Bill O'Reilly's talk show on 1330 KNSS in 2008. Unlike Rush and Sean, Mark actually grew my love and respect for this country more than very few other people have, and made me realize the importance of some of the principles that I still hold to this day. I listened to them all and became inspired to want to be like them. Later on in life in 2013 is when I actually started to witness some of the opposite opinions and beliefs being espoused over the internet. A lot of it rocked me to my core, especially on the religious front. But some of it I thought was very well rebuttable, but nobody I saw was rebutting some of these arguments. I knew the rebuttals, or at least my own version of rebuttals to give, so I had quite a bit to get off my chest, but I wouldn't feel confident enough that it was the right time to come out until 2015. After the WarCorp's response video, I'd continued doing videos off and on whenever I had the time that wasn't always available to me, mostly because I still lived at my parents' house with my many siblings at the time. The videos would be just me talking fairly off the cuff into my digital camera at the time, as this was before I had ever got a smartphone. The digital cam recordings would be spliced with clips of whatever video I was responding to at the time. Not very high quality, but I had fun whenever I had time nonetheless. At the end of summer 2016, I moved out of my parents' house along with my sister, and this was when I had more time to do my editing hobby. Problem is that I didn't have the room all that well lit, and my digital camera was very low quality and of how much light it could pick up. So most of the recordings of me were dark as crap. This was around the time that I'd buy myself a new microphone, a little stick microphone which I thought was cool looking at the time, when really it provided some shoddy audio quality. Also was around the time that I did my first ever animation of myself that I'd use as my avatar instead of always recording with my Kodak digital camera, although I'd still do those now and again. Content around this time was me mostly going on about how much I thought that Trump was a Clinton plant, which I'd admit next year to be wrong, and made the response video to Kyle Kulinski on gun rights that remains to this day the only video from 2016 that would be at all successful. 2017 rolls around, and this is around the time that I'd switch to a new avatar and then another new one that I'd stick to longer, and also got my first ever smartphone that I actually still use to this day. Might be high time to replace it, actually. Also in August that year was when I moved apartments to get the American flag background that you all remember me by. In the early parts of the year, I was stuck in the 20s of subscribers. Barely any growth would come of it. Hardly anyone would watch my videos, let alone like them, except for my videos responding to AJ Plus on illegal immigration. Not even in real life friends and family, who I'd mention my channel to often enough, would really give my videos a chance. I don't know, and I didn't know what I was doing wrong. There was some mentions about how my videos were too long, but even the shorter videos of mine they did not seem all too well interested in, and just people in general didn't seem interested in at the time. Maybe I should have been uploading more than once a week. Maybe I should have used tags in my videos. Unfortunately, I didn't know how that or much of anything else on how to grow a YouTube channel. Then it happened. After I made my first ever response video to Owen McDonald, which was of course on abortion, I grabbed the attention of S-Man Speaks, whom I became close internet friends and allies with through a lot of fun and witty live streams we'd have with one another. He was the first ever bigger YouTuber to truly give my channel the light of day, and I still thank him for that even to this day. It was then that my channel would finally see, albeit slow but steady growth, and I'd finally reach 100 subs by the end of 2017, when I also phased in the animated avatar of myself that everybody knows me by. It is through S-Man that I've gone on a great adventure through the internet and get introduced to a wider community of YouTubers known as the Poor Bastards at the time. People who I'd become friends with like JJ, Brandon, Loudmouth, Aspie, and even Jossman and Humane Mind at the time. And of course, who can forget about Lonely Wolf and all of his dank memes. I'd also become inspired by S-Man and his live show, S-Man Live, to want to do my own live news commentary stream show that would evolve to become its own format. The streams didn't do so successfully, but I had fun nonetheless commentating on the news and also getting myself roasted by everyone in the live chat, large part of that being from Google It. It was a time of great social development in my opinion. Not only did I have all my personal friends and friends from work that I'd hang out with often, I'd also be going on chill hangout streams with these poor bastards to crack edgy jokes and talk about different topics. Later in the year, Loudmouth would get kind of picked on by Bearing in what I thought to be kind of an unfair way, and so I made my own response video to Bearing, in which he made a response video to me back. Most of the attention I got was negative, but it still brought traffic to my channel and I gained a few subs from it even, namely Metal Minister and Cat Chat. This drama, however, wouldn't last long, as me and Humane Mind would talk it out and cool it down with Bearing on a live stream going towards the end of the year. I also got my home office brand microphone to increase audio quality around Christmas that year, and I made my review of the Bearing vs Loudmouth drama. That was my first video. I had a script going and would adopt that more in my formula as time went on. What a way to end 2017 it was. Enter in 2018, we all had such high ambitions for what we wanted to do and what was gonna happen, especially S-Man himself. Little did we know that 2018 would be one of the most drama-filled years that one could never ask for. From the most controversial, to the most depressing, to the most serious, and the most unnecessarily dragged out. 2018 was definitely a mixed year at best. And not only did I get engaged in drama on the internet side, but I was also dealing with a personal friend crisis too, to where my in real life interactions with people diminished significantly, and I would supplement that with the company of some of my internet friends via more hangout live streams than even in 2017, whether that was actually healthy for me or not. I can't say that it was all outright terrible though, as in spite of the bad stuff, there was still a lot of good stuff that happened that year too. I got introduced to some new friends throughout the year like The Conundrum, Nate the Voluntarist, Night Shift 10,000, Sir Conservatarian, Corey, so many more, and even Rin Macalis at the time, who got me introduced to some other friends and acquaintances too. I did my first ever edited collab project with S-Man, did a lot of interviews and debates, got promoted by Bearing for a skit that I had done earlier that year, and then got promoted by My Two Cents multiple times, who's also been a good friend and ally of the channel. It also was the year that I uploaded my most successful response video on abortion, that was to Nicole Arbor, which I highly recommend to anyone on my channel who's just recently subscribed to me. As the year went later and later on, it got less hectic in the area of drama. By the end of October, we all were either just finishing off and putting an end to drama or avoiding drama entirely. Well, except for one. 2019 wasn't near as soul-draining of a year as 2018 and was, of course, far more successful and bigger in scale than 2017. We generally avoided drama except for only 2 incidents, and whatever other drama we did get fully engaged in, it was honestly more fun than it was soul-draining. I did plenty of fun and successful edited videos, and I started using OBS, which I'm actually still learning to master. It was also the year that we got fully introduced to Reckless Trucker, a guy whom I vaguely heard of and seen around in 2017, fell off the map in 2018, but then came roaring back into action oh so obnoxiously in 2019, to where when we finally broke ties with Chatsburg, he made it happen in oh such glorious fashion.
Yeah, it's great that you're laughing at mentally ill people. No, I'm laughing at. Well, yeah, I guess I am laughing at the mentally ill, namely you. First off, claiming I'm a climate change denier is not true at all. I've proven this throughout my history. Let me fucking finish.
Oh, bullshit! No, you've denied climate change. Hey, fuck you.
Break your desk. Break your desk. Please break your desk.
Let Trucker finish his point
Goodbye.
about...
You guys are not honest actors. Fuck you.
Rage quit. Not to mention all the other friends and acquaintances I've met that year. I had gained such respect and influence throughout the year, but also hate, as shown when I made the infamous response video to Tim Horn and when he made his response, which I do plan on responding to back soon, folks. A good chunk of my fans jumped to my support, which makes me feel real appreciated, and I thank you all abundantly. Not to mention I got to reuniting with personal friends that really started ever since October 2018, but happened even more in 2019. It was such a year to remember. Though there was the great Kappa scare of December 2019 that happened, honestly, looking back, I probably didn't need to prioritize all my content around that time, as this hasn't turned out to be the absolute end-all be-all of YouTube, and even more so its independent content creators. If anything, Kappa seems to be just another rule for YouTube to pull out of their asses to use as an excuse to keep someone kicked off their platform among all the other regulations they've made for themselves. But it's still certainly not a good thing. Roll in 2020, the Jumanji year. We're now in October and it's obviously not as good as 2019, but I don't know if it's as bad as 2018, though it's gotten real close. One friend is on a long hiatus, one friend I almost lost, another friend I've actually lost, probably for good, and I hate it. Some other friends of mine are busy nowadays, and another ally, now former ally, has slandered me as a pedo supporter, even though I've made content reaming or glorifying the reaming of pedos and pedo defenders, so the accusation is an obvious bald-faced lie. Not to mention another looming chapter of drama that I'm not even gonna clue to because I'm trying to avoid it entirely. In spite of all that though, channel is still growing, both of them, albeit slowly but steadily. Strikeforce is doing successfully more than ever, and I've uploaded that response video to TJ Kirk, which is my most successful video of the year. And with the presidential election present, I can only imagine that my channel will grow even more so. I've also made some new friends over the internet, and despite how busy my personal friends are, I've been having some of the best hangouts with them earlier this year than I have in a long time. What do I do now? Well, I'm gonna keep on making videos. It's my hobby, it's my passion, and it's not going away. Don't know how fast it'll all be, how fast paced it'll all be, because honestly, I'm a bit of a procrastinator. But it's also combined with a busy life and trying to keep my mood up so my emotional and mental health don't go kaput. I'm also still looking for a welding job in place of my current daytime job, because YouTube, in spite of me getting my first 2 patrons donating money to me, Cat Chat and Mikhail the Stray Cat, is not sustainable and in no ways is a full-time gig. It's mostly just a hobby, but a hobby nonetheless that I feel somewhat obligated and encouraged to do in gaining a following of over 650 subscribers now. In spite of all that, for the last at least 3 years, I've been going through kind of a life crisis. I feel torn. On the one hand, I'm told that I really need to get a hold of life by the balls and focus more on searching for an actual welding job. Some people have gone so far to say that my YouTube channel is a drag on my emotional health and personal social life. These two opinions in combination make people say that I need to just completely shelf my YouTube channel altogether for at least a few months until these two situations improve. Maybe they're right. In a way, I agree with them. But on the other hand, I've accumulated such a considerable following and am just now getting paid for the service I provide that it would make me feel like absolute crap if I just got up and completely abandoned ship indefinitely, leaving you all to dry. It all doesn't help the fact that I've been told most of my childhood that I play computer games too much and need to ultimately get a hobby, get an actual productive hobby. I've tried so many hobbies in my life that I never really stuck to, let alone came through to fruition in the same way that my video editing hobby has. Wood burning. Not enough payoff to make the tedious setting it up feel worth it. Guitar. Never really had the talent or the initiative. Leather crafting. Boring as reading the freaking phone book. Comic book writing. I've stuck to that for years now, and do it even today because I've got so many story ideas rolling around in my head. But still, I didn't feel like that was coming through to fruition soon or big enough to make me feel truly fulfilled or appreciated. Lego stop motion animation. I was invested in that. I truly was. But being one out of 9 siblings in a house with not enough space or tranquility to really focus hardcore on it turned out too frustrating to continue. Especially whenever your Lego creations for it get destroyed or you lose Legos entirely. Not to mention that some of my Legos got outright stolen by some of the neighbor kids too, and I've now given my Legos away to my little brothers. But this frustrating failure of a hobby would still lay the foreground for what would become my hobby. Video editing and posting on YouTube. Finally, a hobby of mine with enough gratitude and emotional and spiritual payoff to be worthy of continuing. And hopefully soon, enough financial payoff too. However, it's also my most frowned upon hobby too. I've gone all my life being encouraged to take up a hobby and searching for a hobby that was meant for me, and by the time I find it, it is, albeit my most encouraged one, is also ironically my absolute most discouraged hobby too. It saddens me. I say all that not looking for any of your pity. I just felt like getting it off my chest. And man, did it feel good. And what I have to say in closing is expect more content from me. I'm gonna keep on trying and improving on my YouTube channel. I'm gonna make my best attempt to avoid drama, especially to try to avoid talking about it here on my main channel, where I not only feel like it's hurting my brand, but is also turning out in some of my fans' own eyes to be kind of a waste of time and kind of soul and time draining to me. So, probably best for me to just try to avoid it for the most part. I mean, some of the more serious stuff, obviously, I'm going to mention about. Expect me not to go anywhere. At least not in the near future. There may be times that I feel it's necessary to slow down, or I might even take some times to take a complete break entirely, at least for the short term. But I'm not leaving. I love this hobby, and I love you all. And again, I thank you for all the support that you have given me. Here's to another 5 years. God bless you all.